I worked on a lot of the films, and then over here I have my Wacom Cintiq, which is where I do a lot of digital stuff. And this is, I bounce back and forth a lot, doing a lot of traditional drawings and some digital artwork. So it's good to have a lot of variety. I even work off of an iPad a lot of times too when I want to go and just sketch over at a like a Starbucks or something like that.
Gotcha.
A little portable studio. I can take it.
It can go anywhere. Now, Lon, this is my first show, and I'm going to tell you right now, I screwed up. When I did my full opening, I did not go live. So I just went live, so people are seeing you right now. So here's what I want to do right now, Lon. We're going to act like that never happened, and I'm going to take you back out. I'm taking you out. I'm taking Lon back out. Hey, everybody, I didn't go live. I thought I did. So you know what? Thank you very, very much for your patience. This is my first show ever, and I want to say thank you and welcome to everyone watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all your encouragement when I thought about doing this show. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in and watching. I'm very nervous right now. I already messed up because I started the show and did not go live. My girlfriend Figgy ran in and showed me that it's nothing on YouTube. So hopefully it's on YouTube right now. And we are live. The reason I'm nervous is because usually I'm on camera and I look right into the camera and I do my job. But what you don't see are the many people around me doing hair and makeup and sound and lighting and camera and part of the production teams. And they are doing a really good job. So when the camera rolls, it is my job to make everybody's hard work pay off. So, and that's where I find my inspiration. I find my inspiration in the people around me working hard, doing the best they can. There we go. And that is finding inspiration in the people around me. So that's what made me think of this show. So each episode, I'm going to bring in a friend of mine, a talented friend, and our friendship, their work, and of course, what inspires them. So without further ado, before anything, my mic keeps cutting in and out, so I'll take away and use my computer microphone. So hopefully you can still hear me. So right now I'm going to bring in a longtime friend of over 30 years. He's a theme park designer, a creative concept artist, and just a real fun, happy guy. Please welcome Lon Smart. Welcome, Lon.
Hey, Mark, let's do this.
Try it again, Lon. Thank you very much for your patience, man.
Hey, you know what? If it's not perfect, it's not perfect. So you got to get this is just right. You got to get all that stuff out of the way first.
Yeah, we got to get it out of the way. And that's why I have you, Lon, because I feel so comfortable with you. If things go wrong, we could just laugh it off.
We run with it. We eat that. We eat it up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, we talked a little bit, and I saw we talked about your studio in the background there, that you work from home, and you kind of have a portable studio.
That's right. Now, this type of studio I work in now, I do a lot of traditional artwork, pen and paper over here, animation stuff. This is an animation desk if I have to do some animation. Then I have my Wacom Cintiq over here, which is where I do a lot of digital artwork, painting, and I bounce back and forth a lot. And sometimes I'll just grab my iPad and take off to a coffee shop and just get out of the studio and go explore, or even maybe do some digital painting out at the park. You know, just kind of like if I'm awake, I'm working. So it's always work.
Now, Lon, I said that we've known each other for over 30 years, and
35 never looked so good, right?
It never did, man. And I got to give where we started. I got to give a shout out to the Fraternal Order of Sweetums and the Tall Guy Club, because you were an honorary member so many years ago.
We were very close friends with Sweetums for a very long time. Indeed.
Yes, we could never find that little rabbit bunny.
You and being in that green room. You and like Buttermaker and Bill Bardo and Chris Bardo have me cracking up every day. You are just one of the funniest guys ever. And that's why I'm so not surprised that you are taking your talent and putting it out there. And your success, I mean, you've always been successful, but now it's actually happening. And man, and I love seeing whoever, I'll get into worshiping later.
Well, you know, you've inspired me so much, but let's talk about it. We worked together in Disney Entertainment back at Disney's MGM Studios at the time. How did your Disney career start? Tell us a little bit about that, Lon.
Well, actually, my first job was actually working at a Disney store. And first disclaimer, we're going to do a disclaimer real quick. I am not here representing Disney. Neither of us are. We are just here as creative people. We're going to talk about our lives, and we're not going to talk about anything sensitive, proprietary, confidential. It's nothing like that. We're just going to have some fun, relax, get inspired, and talk about what inspires us and a little bit of our history. So nothing wrong with that. This is who we are. But one of my first jobs for an entertainment company, Disney, was actually at a Disney store in North Attleboro, Massachusetts, because I'm from Rhode Island. And then I went to college at the Ringling School of Art and Design in Sarasota, Florida, where I studied illustration for 3-4 years. And then I went to an internship with Disney Animation. And that's when it was like art boot camp. I mean, we worked a lot. It was very intense training program for animation. And if we worked out, we would eventually, hopefully, get a job with animation. And fortunately, all of us did. I mean, we had a great internship group of people. One of the people I worked with or I interned with was Byron Howard. And he went on to be a fantastic giant director, working on films like Tangled and Bolt and Zootopia. And got another film coming out soon. So I've worked with some really great people, very inspiring people. We'll get into that too. People who inspire you. And
yeah, definitely. And that's what we're going to get into in a bit. But what I want to talk to you about, you talked about going into like a boot camp and training in animation. And I do remember you were still working with me in entertainment. And I do remember you told me a couple of things when you were in training. One thing is you would always get upset when you saw a picture of Simba and his nose was the wrong color.
Well, yeah, before we went into, I kind of leapfrogged over probably one of the best times of my life, which is working in the entertainment department, working with the characters and the parades and the shows and you and everybody. It was just absolutely, it's a dream job. It really is a dream job. And yes, and working with the characters, helping to bring them to life in so many different ways. And then moving on to animation, where I learned how to really draw the characters and how important drawing an IP character, be it for Disney or Warner Brothers or Universal or any studio, that's their lifeblood. That's their characters. So treating them right, drawing them right, making sure they're acting right, making sure they're in the right environments. It means everything. And to really care about that, make sure that look is just right. Now, one of my jobs as an artist and one of the roles I had was called a key assistant animator, which is where I would actually be in charge of making sure the characters looked perfect in every film that I worked on. And perfect, there's no compromise. It has to look perfect every single time. And this is where developing the character as well. So a lot of times it might change and we have to adjust things. But when you're trained to this level of discipline, and then you see it, you recognize it when something's not right. When you see it, you might not even know what it is, but you recognize that something's not right about those eyes, something's not right about the pose, maybe the color's off, but you see it because you're trained to notice those things. So yeah, and I'm passionate about what I do. So if it's depending on the level of what we call off model, I'd be like, oh my gosh. So, this is just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. And to talk about something else, you also told me some very interesting facts, and a fact that I didn't realize about Mickey Mouse. And you had to, in animation, and you were the first person that told me there's some different things about Mickey Mouse when you look at him when he's animated.
He's a hard character to draw. I mean, talk about I would rather draw Beast sometimes than Mickey Mouse because he is all curves. You don't have any real strong angles to work off of, and then biologically his ears, right? But when he turns his head, you never see the sides. They're always straightforward. What's going on in this anatomy? His head is turning. What? It's like a gyroscope up there. And then his nose too. When it's up to the side, you'll notice when he looks to the side, his nose actually goes in front of his eyes. But when he looks straight at you, his nose drops down. So again, crazy character, but he's so cute. So whatever's going on, it works. And sometimes, as I work with some amazing artists. Roger Gould, one time he worked with Pixar, said art drawings are all cheats. It's all cheating. So which is basically the case. You just kind of make it work. You make it work.
Yeah.
So
well, you know, speaking of that, and speaking of mentioning art, let's talk about some of your inspirations at this time. You know, you're learning a lot, and something's keeping you going. So what are some of the people that inspired you during your journey?
Well, that's it. I mean, when you work a lot of it is all about keeping inspired and keeping yourself fresh. I will constantly be looking at artwork that speaks to me, that motivates me, because sometimes you just don't want to work. You're just, I got nothing, you know, I'm dead. But art to the artist is like food. I mean, without getting inspired, you're going to starve. You have to keep yourself inspired. And I think that goes for artists, but I think that goes for everybody. You have to keep inspired. And I surround myself with people who inspire me like you. You know, I went to college with Travis Blaze, who's brothers with Aaron Blaze, two of my favorite artists. Travis was actually my roommate. There's other artists like Brian Summer. He was one of my bosses on so many different films, and I learned so much from his amazing talent. The guy is like a prodigy. Also, there's Rachel Bibb, Peter Emsley, who I never worked with, but I've always had his art around. You can look up these names, you know, and if I can just name drop, we got Armand Serrano. We got Sergio Pablos, who actually worked on a great film recently on Netflix called Klaus. It's a Christmas story last year.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Alex Kupperschmidt, Byron Howard, as I mentioned, Dean Dubois, Matthias, I'm going to pronounce his last name wrong. Tell me I'm telling it wrong. Matthias Lecker, Corey Loftus, and Jin Kim. So again, but I could go on. These are just a fraction of the artists that inspire me. And whenever I see art from them, I'm always saving it on my cell phone. I gotta I gotta keep that and look at it later and maybe learn something from it.
Now, speaking of inspiration, I remember when we were working together, you got the job drawing some famous comic strips. So we're going to get into some of your animation later on, but let's talk about the difference, you know, going from learning animation and then going into a comic strip. What's the difference? What's the artistic difference?
Well, when I worked while I was going to college, I worked for an amazing artist and comedian named Mike Peters, and probably the nicest guy to ever walk the face of the earth. He is just a breath of fresh air. He's like, oh, you wonderful person. Oh, you're so wonderful. Every time you see him. So you just love being around people like this, right? Plus, he was a great comic, and helping him out on some of his artwork, some of his merchandise, occasionally some of his comic strips. I got to learn about how to stay fresh and how to keep things and how to explore the world around you and how to make a joke out of it, you know, and how to develop a sense of humor. So that's really what I got, and as well as learning some pen and ink skills. And I got to work with another artist named Craig Grasso, who unfortunately is not here anymore, but such a powerful person and leader in my life as well. So again, that's what that was. And then moving into animation, now the characters are moving. And learning how to bring those characters to motion. And the first thing we always do in animation is something called the bouncing ball, where we're just drawing circles on a screen or on our page, and then we flip it and we roll it and we shoot it and we look at it, and all of a sudden the ball is bouncing. And that's when it bites you. That's when it hits you. It's like, I have to keep these characters alive. The fact that your drawings can come to life. And it takes a long time to do these drawings sometimes because these characters are very involved. But when you them moving and acting, it's like no other feeling in the world.
Now, you talk about animation. I got to tell you, Lon, you're very humble because you've worked on some of my favorite animated films. I mean, John Henry, Mulan, Princess and the Frog, to name a few. I mean, Princess and the Frog, you know, one of my favorite characters have come out of Princess and the Frog, and that's Dr. Facilier. I mean, look at this, man. So, you know, I want to ask you, what are some of the positions you had on some of those films? Because I know there's different positions, right? Like you mentioned.
Yep. I started out as an in-betweener. Everyone basically starts out as an in-betweener, and that was on The Lion King. I worked on the hyenas for The Lion King. And that was working with Monica Murdoch and a whole bunch of wonderful artists on that. Then after that is when I moved over working with Brian Summer, working on Pocahontas, where I worked on John Smith, and a little bit of Phoebus for Hunchback of Notre Dame. Then Mulan and Lilo and Stitch and Also, gosh, so many films. Brother Bear, a little bit of Fantasia 2000, Princess and the Frog. So you learn so much as you go. But again, it is every film you do and every drawing. It's like that's where I learned that every drawing you do needs to be better than the last one. Everything you do needs to be the next step up. Never compromise, never be complacent. Always try to improve with every drawing you do. And same thing with every film. You want every film you work on to be the best thing you ever do.
Now let's talk about inspiration when you're working on the film. Is there, what are some of the things you would do? Like maybe when you were working on Princess and the Frog, where did you find inspiration to have that theme?
Well, a lot of that's taken care of by the director. And then we're learning from the director. So they kind of set that up, and they set us up for success. And then we'll be working on just learning about, so like for Princess and the Frog, New Orleans, the type of people that are there, the type of architecture that's there, the colors, the music that they listen to, the food that they ate. And it wasn't until just 2 years ago when I finally had a chance to go to New Orleans, and it was all there. I'm looking at the wrought iron balconies that I had studied for so many years, and there they are in front of me. I see the jazz musicians in the street, and I'm like, this is real. This is actually, it was amazing how accurate this film was when I was there. And even when I went to a coffee shop, and there was this waitress that we had who was dressed in an apron and her hair was up, and she was just juggling around 5 or 6 different orders at the same time. And I'm watching her going, and she looked just like Tiana. I had to go up to her. I was like, I'm one of the animators on Princess and the Frog, and oh my gosh, you are just like Tiana. You just, and her face lit up. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm punch. Hopefully she liked the film. She'd be like, I hate that movie.
All right. Well, it's important that you tell her you were an actor just instead of just saying it.
So she was happy with that.
What a great compliment for her.
But that's the level of detail that you've got to put into every project you work on. It really is, that's the creativity part. Whenever you get a project in, whenever I get a project in, regardless, I'm going to just grab something out of space here. All right, NASA. Let's say I've got to design a gift shop themed around space travel. Wow. Okay, now I've got to really start doing homework. And hopefully I have some contacts with people, or I'll make contacts with people to try to learn everything I can about what I need to do to make this project as good as it can be. But that's it. Teamwork. No one is an island when you're dealing with creativity. The more of a team you can get together on projects, the more you can brainstorm back and forth with people. I have to brainstorm. I need to talk to people. And that's when the juices get flowing and you start coming up with some great ideas from brainstorming, whatever that project might be.
And I like that because I think we're staying on top, and it's just finding the inspiration in people around you, and sometimes people don't know they might inspire you, and that can help inspire them because you tell them, hey, you inspired me.
Well, and they don't even have to be a professional. People just know what they like sometimes. And sometimes you don't want to go to someone who works for NASA, but might be a Star Wars fan. It's like you can get some of everything from people, and they don't, because people know what they like. They might not know why they like it, but just listening to people and listening to the general audience is also inspiring. And sometimes they come up with great ideas too. And you've got to be that kind of filter to kind of figure out what the best solution is. And then we can move on to how to take everything you've learned and make sure that it's the best possible solution. Exhaust all options before you even get started. In concept art, there's a line saying, overthinking things is just the beginning. And you really got to overkill every option to make sure you're coming up with just the right solution.
And I want to do some examples of that because I want to show some of your work that which I'm very impressed with, that people will be seeing for years to come. So
we hope. I mean, sometimes it's temporary, and that's fine too, as long as they enjoy it. Regardless, like when you go to a theme park, sometimes it's like you're only, like if you go to Busch Gardens, that might be your only time there. So for you, that's there forever.
Yeah.
So even if it's only there for a day. So it's valuable regardless.
So I want to bring some stuff up, and I just want to show some things here, and you could talk us through it a little bit, and talk to us about, now you're moving from animation and you're actually, What would you call this type of project, Lon?
Well, this project, I was asked to help out to design some of the Art of Animation Resort, and it was Lion King themed. And we had, since I had worked on the film, they asked me if I would be interested in working on the artwork for the room. I was like, heck yeah, this is great. So they gave me a list of things that they needed done. They already had a bunch of ideas, and I had to basically execute the characters and the coloring. So here's some fun ideas for a back of a bed. We did the artwork for the outside of the building, of the characters on animation paper. What else did we do? Oh, there you go, another giant sketchbook. And the theme of these buildings was it starts out with a sketch on the front, goes into animation, into the middle of the building where everything is now colored in 3-dimensional. And some more artwork that I was able to do for just the front facades, which is kind of neat.
Some of the things you work on, my favorite that I had no idea is this.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
This was a fun project where I was asked to kind of update the wanted posters. So again, we got to think backstory, what's going on. So in my mind, from the film, we've got talking animals. So I was thinking, well, what about a little raccoon sheriff who was making these wanted posters and had his ink brush and just started, maybe he probably couldn't draw too well, so keep it simple and keep it loose. And he's painting up these little wanted posters for his area to kind of warn the other critters about some possible problems around.
And you didn't just work on, the resort and the rooms. I think this is very beautiful. I actually ate here.
Okay.
And tell us a little bit about this.
Again, I was asked to come up with these lighting drum ideas. So I'm thinking, well, these drums are 3-dimensional. We've got a bottom, we've got sides. So it should feel as if you're looking up through the roof into the sky. So with this one, actually had to find a lot of references of Rafiki's tree and make it really feel like you are inside Rafiki's tree looking up and out. And if you notice on the outside rim, we're looking at the tree from the angle. We're looking at the top of the tree and getting everything to line up as well, making sure all the leaves are the same size on the side and the bottom. So I kind of had to build it, through Photoshop at the same time.
And what I like about this is, again, that art of storytelling, because what it is that I can sit in here and not really know what the intent was. I can enjoy the beauty of it, but talking to you and you break it down, it's like, oh wow,
oh yeah,
this is nice.
Everything. The amount of backstory. Well, we've talked one-on-one about the amount of backstory that goes into things, the things that you'll never know, but it's there, as you said. It's there if you want it, and if you don't need it, you can just enjoy it at face value. But if you want to get deeper into it, it's all there, and you can appreciate it at a deeper level.
Some things that people have seen is something like this.
Oh, there you go. One of my favorite projects ever. I love Halloween. Huge Halloween fan. It's coming up. So I was asked by David Hartman, an amazing art director and now one of my principal designers, to come up with some pumpkin characters. The request was pumpkin characters for Magic Kingdom. So I'm thinking, okay, well, where are they going to go? They're going to go on Main Street. Okay, how did they get there? Well, maybe the people who live on Main Street. Main Street is a real place where people live and work and play, and they will decorate their own town for the fall. So they would probably decorate, maybe they had a giant contest where the marching band put together their own pumpkin. Maybe the people who work at the Emporium put together their pumpkin. Maybe the people at Town Hall put together a mayor pumpkin. So everyone kind of contributed from this town to decorate their town up for fall. And this was the execution for it.
Wow. And I do remember seeing a pumpkin with an Emporium bag, and I do believe I saw the mayor pumpkin as well.
Yep. And actually, a lot of the designers that I work with as well enhanced that, and they actually made a little watch that hangs off of them that actually works.
Oh, actually works. Look at that.
It actually works. They improve it every step of the way. That's another line. Everything you work on, try to make it 30% better than where you got it. Like when you leave a room, leave it cleaner than when you entered. Make it 30% better. This is a Festival of Fantasy poster that I was asked to work on and design kind of a splash page for this brilliant parade that is featured at Magic Kingdom, and kind of telling a story about the characters that are in it and the excitement and the thrill. And when the parade isn't out yet, so I'm just kind of working off of what I'm learning about the parade.
And you're seeing so the parade isn't out yet. Do you get to tour and see the floats beforehand?
I
do. Some of the costumes?
And that is such a treat, because you feel so special. And that's when I kind of came up with this romantic image of how will you remember the parade when it's done. So this image is hopefully your memory of this wonderful experience that you witnessed.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful piece. I mean, I want to, you know, I've seen the parade, but this makes me want to see it again.
Yeah.
What's unique too is, you know, we were friends, you know, for the Fraternal Order of Sweetums, and in a sense, puppeteers. And I know you love puppets. So what was it like working on the Merry Menagerie, where you got to make these life-size puppets?
Jeff Conover. Oh my gosh. Jeff Conover is possibly one of the coolest, most creative guys I've ever worked with. He's the puppet master for so many projects. And he gave me this wonderful direction on these brilliant characters. And I had a chance to kind of make them cute and adorable, and understanding puppeteers and puppets and how they're put together, how they move, how they work, you got to really think about how they will be interacting with people and how they'll move, and the structure and the material. But he's so good with materials as well. He was able to throw me all this stuff that I kind of incorporated into the characters, but and then just making them adorable and charming and handcrafted too. They had to look. They weren't supposed to look real. They're always puppets. You know, once upon a time there were puppets. So they were handcrafted artistry that is being used to celebrate the holidays.
Yeah, you can see that here. It looks like wood. You know.
Exactly. And actually, in the concept art, I was actually, well, here I am making a chiseling shape, but painting it to look like it's chiseled, because when it actually gets built, the more information that the concept art has and the more detail it has, the more it'll get translated into the final product. But what makes this is the puppeteers. They brought these things to such life. I mean, you don't look at them anymore, which is in theory, the goal is to keep it focused on the character. And they just did that's the way they executed these characters. They really came to life, and they just made everybody smile. It's a total scene stealer, but entertainment has a way of doing that.
We'll bring you back. There we are. What I want to do now is I want to talk to you about, you love theme parks, and you've actually been to over 100 theme parks.
Yeah, I got to actually do a tally, but maybe closer to 200. Almost everyone in America so far. I think there's like a couple in New Jersey that I haven't been to yet. But I'm a member of the American Coaster Enthusiasts, and every year we do several tours to explore theme parks and just check them out. And I'll tell you, I even had a chance to go to Europe, and I've been to about 20 or so parks in Holland and England and Germany, and Germany loves their theme parks. And wow, I only remember seeing photos of some of these parks, and I was like, I got to get out here. I got to see what they're doing. And I'm so glad I did, because it's another level of design and care and passion that goes into a theme park. There is a difference between an amusement park and a theme park. Amusement parks for fun. Theme park is for story and emotion. Now I'll go into some of my favorites. This is actually what I just went to. Gee, how do you know I just went to it? Maybe because I've got it.
Because of that marketing on that mask there.
Exactly. Cedar Point is one of my favorite amusement parks in the world, and when they do their Halloween, it is such a treat, because they do like 1 million pumpkins all over the park, and the design is just fantastic. And it's just it feels Halloween when you're out there. And they did something super special this year as well. Since Halloween isn't available for a lot of kids, unfortunately, they designed a lot of doors. They built all these themed doorways where kids can go up and knock on the door, and a person would come out. And here's one of them now. And the person will come out and give them candy, trick-or-treat candy. So they actually built all these doors. There was like maybe 20 of them that the kids can just go around all day. And I'm like, this is the cutest thing. What a great idea. And this is up in Ohio. Another one of my favorite parks, Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This is the park that got me addicted to theme parks. I've always been to amusement parks prior to this, and amusement parks are fun. But when you get into a theme park, now we're talking emotion. And there's a line that I've learned. People might forget what you do or say, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And when you're at a theme park, that's what it is. That's why people are saving up their whole life to come to Orlando to experience this wonderful stuff. You don't see people saving up their whole life to go to Six Flags. No disrespect to Six Flags by any means, because it's fun. I go to Six Flags every year, but the amount of dedication that a theme park does, it is definitely the next level. I mean, sometimes you like a cheeseburger, sometimes you want a steak.
Yeah.
Big Bad Wolf is the coaster that got me into roller coasters. This ride was my everything. I mean, you started out, you just soaring through a town, and it's just so exciting, and you're swinging under the track, and it was just beautiful. And the people that worked there also really were into the role. They were actually playing it out, and you made you feel special for being there because they would actually come up and talk to you in their character. And as a child, that really made an impact on me. I was like, this is a really happy place. And I would love to be a part of something like this.
And, you talked about, what a theme park is like when you walk in, what the feeling it should be and what it should be. You talked to me a little bit about that. Can you mention that again? Like, what is it supposed to encapsulate when you walk into a theme park as opposed to an amusement park?
The goal, especially when it comes to like IP, a lot of things are becoming IP now. And hold on this picture. When you go into a theme park, it's like you're going to a movie. You're watching a movie and there's a screen in front of you and you're having a good time and you're mentally into it, right? And it's a great experience. But now with a theme park, it's the next level. You've got a good book translates into a movie, and a good movie translates into a theme park. And then it's as if the screen drops and you're able to get out of your chair and walk into that screen. And then it becomes alive. You're smelling the smells. You're talking to the characters. You're in the experience. You're touching it. It's real now. It should be like an illusion. It almost should be like a hoax. Think Truman Show. That would be the greatest theme park. If you can really just kind of teleport into another world of enjoyment. And I'll tell you, with entertainment like that, that's the cell phone battery charger to us as people. Entertainment is definitely what's the word that we've been using so much? Priority or essential. And because without entertainment, you don't have that recharge. Because you go to a movie, you're having a bad day, everything's coming on your case, and then you go see a movie and you just kind of like fall out of it for a while. And your battery is recharging. And when you're done, you're off and you're able to kind of get your feet back into the game, and really start, and get on to tomorrow. Theme parks do that as well. Theme parks do it to the next level though. And that's important. We have to have entertainment in order just to get through the day. So
now you said you wanted me to hold on this picture. You got something about this one?
All right. One of my favorite parks. This is a park that is called Stricker's Cove. Or Stricker's Grove, rather. And this is a very unique park. It is private property. It is invitation only. They don't open it up to the public. Maybe one day a year they might for 4th of July.
What?
But this is only for private parties. No one else can get into it. So if you work for a company, you can rent out the park for a day. So when you go in, everything is free. They just have soda lined up on all the counters, cotton candy, popcorn, eat as much as you want. And it's in a grove, in a cornfield. So you're driving out of nowhere. You're in the middle of nowhere, cornfields everywhere. And all of a sudden there's a roller coaster popping up. And when they have the buffet lunch, cheeseburgers, hot dogs, and corn on the cob that they just harvested an hour earlier.
Oh, wow.
Now they're grilling it up in the tin foil and the butter and all the spices, and it was just alive an hour ago, and now you're eating it. It's so delicious because it's never been fresher. And
fresh corn. What is fresh corn like?
Super. It was amazing. I mean, I've never tasted it before. So, but this was the coolest thing: is everything was free. You didn't touch your wallet the entire time you're in there.
Wow.
So what a unique experience to be feeling totally at home. Like, hey, make yourself at home. Get something out of the fridge. Enjoy yourself. So that's what Stricker's Cove is, and I loved it.
Another one I want to jump to, just in reference of time, is let's see here. I believe we'll start here. Yes, I've been seeing you post a lot about this, right?
Evermore Park.
Yeah.
All right. When it comes to cosplay, which I love to do, cosplay and really like Dungeons and Dragons, this park isn't about rides. This park is an entertainment park. But talk about the experience. I mean, you are allowed to dress in costume and you're allowed to play a role. There's only about 40 people that work in the park, but when you combine all the people that are there cosplaying and playing it out and having that medieval fun like a Ren Fair, now it feels like there's 500 cast members that work there. Mm-hmm. And it was such a amazing experience at Evermore. And this is in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah. The design is fantastic. When you talk the term, I mean, it's an overkill term, fully immersive. The park is fully immersive. You are surrounded in the story.
Yeah, I know the immersive is being pushed, especially with Galaxy's Edge, that immersive feeling. What you said there's not many employees that work there, but the people dressed up really fill it out. Well,
not only that, but you're playing the role too. And talk about being part of the show. I mean, you're actually, I was able to get my Ren Fair costume on, and I went on and I was playing it up a little bit and having fun and interacting with people. And they actually give you challenges and quests that you have to do through the day. It's phenomenally interactive. But the fact that you're now no longer sit down, shut up and enjoy the show, but you have to stand up and play along and you're part of it and you really feel part of it. And you don't want to leave. At the end of the day, you really don't want to leave. It's kind of like when you're in VR. You take your VR goggles off.
Oh, yeah.
Have that crash. You're like, no, I want to go back in. But Evermore is definitely that experience. It's definitely a raising the bar of the theme park experience.
So what I want to do right now, we're going to jump ahead. We know definitely you have your top 2 theme parks. And, of course, your number 1 are the Disney theme parks.
It's so hard. Yeah, Disney theme parks, number 1 forever.
But number 2. Number 2 is very interesting, and you were very passionate about it. And it's
Dollywood. Oh my God, I can't wait. Dollywood they've got great theme park rides. Great, it's an amusement park and a theme park. This is your scenery. I mean, come on, you're in the Smoky Mountains.
Look at that. Look at where they're sitting on this thing. This is insane. What's that called?
Wild Eagle. And it is really just a treat because I like to sit in the back of this coaster because you see all the eagles in front of you flying. And it is such a wonderful ride. And again, you're in the mountaintops and the scenery as you're going through it. But the outside of the great rides in Dollywood, the food, all the comfort food, you better not be on a diet because it's all the comfort food. And the shows are wonderful. They're not the amusement park, vaudeville, but they're really like performances. And at Christmas time, it'll change your life. Dollywood at Christmas time, there's no better place to be outside of Disney, of course. But outside the Dollywood Christmas time, it's really life changing. And the coolest thing about Dollywood is the people that work there. Now we all know Dolly Parton, what a warm soul she is. Everyone loves some Dolly Parton, right? She's just a product of her town. This is where she grew up. Everyone there is like Dolly Parton. They're all just so vibrantly loving. It's unbelievable. It's like you're walking. It's hard to grasp how amazing some like the chicken lady that works there. Her name's. I'll leave it as the chicken lady. She Miss Lillian, and she is just everybody who works there is just really just warm souls. It's like going to a big warm hug. It really is a wonder of a park. But there's so many great parks out there. That's the whole thing. The more you go out and explore, the more you kind of pick up on this stuff. And as a theme park designer, this inspires me. This is what I love to. I don't want to copy what they're doing. I want to kind of learn from them and help create more of it.
Yeah, and that was just a little sample. I mean, you also, in the interest of time, you also went out of the country too, to like Germany and different places like that as well.
Do you have any from Efteling?
I do, and then what I'm going to do now also is I'm going to open up the Q&A.
Sure.
So let me see what I can bring up really quick because you're really excited about that.
If not, search Efteling. There you go. Efteling is in Holland, and wow, this park is probably one of the greatest theme parks on the planet Earth. The rides are amazing. The sets are amazing. Look, we got a roller coaster with a fire-breathing dragon in the middle of it. What? And every ride is just so incredibly themed and thick and rich. It's all dark rides for the most part. Tons of dark rides, music, wonderful wonderful park in Holland.
Mm-hmm.
And then Germany has got a few, Phantasialand. And,
So thank you so much for sharing that, Lon, your inspiration about the theme parks and some of your work. So we're going to open it right now to 15 minutes in the Q&A section. So I opened up the Q&A. So if you have any questions for Lon, we'll look through and see if you have one. Let's see here. Trying to look through to see if we get any questions for you, Lon. Now, you talked about cosplay. Tell us a little bit about one of the favorite cosplays you've done.
Well, like I said, I love to play it out. You know, when you become part of the show and you're no longer a fly on the wall, but you actually become part of it is just great. And when you cosplay, you can be your own character. You can play another character. One of my favorite cosplay characters is Gilderoy Lockhart from Harry Potter. Oops. Gilderoy Lockhart from Harry Potter. A friend of mine said I kind of look like him. I don't think so. But put on the wig and the makeup, sure, in the costume, and you get to really kind of clown around because he's such a narcissist buffoon. He's so into himself, and the more you play that out, the more enjoyable it is. I kind of went into my Mark Reamer lines, you know, that he would say for fun. It's like, it is such a pleasure to meet me, you know, or something along that line. And so, yeah, I love Gilderoy.
And not only that, you also made a prop.
I did.
Yeah.
Actually, in one of the fun things, if you've seen Harry Potter, you know they have books, and on the books they have covers that actually change. So I took an iPad and I put it into the cover of a book, and I would just walk around with this, and it's just doing what you would expect from a Harry Potter thing, and it looks, I mean, it's a proper book. So I can open it up and I can doing it, and then we have the picture, and sometimes it'll freeze like this, and then it'll move, and people go, "What?" I was like,
that's nice.
And I'll be like, "Wait till you read it."
You even do it now, man. It's perfect. So this is from Mouse Ears and Magic podcast. What is your favorite part about Disney? And they're talking about a specific design in a specific location that you love to sit in front of and enjoy.
Oh my gosh, where do I start? Well, first of all, again, real quick disclaimer in case it was cut off earlier. We're not representing Disney. We're just representing artists.
As fans, yeah.
As friends. We're just talking about being creative in general. And Disney just happens to be part of what we love. But we're talking about all theme parks, as you can tell. But about Disney or any other parks that I love, Disney specific, place that I love to go, Galaxy's Edge. I mean, I love going to Galaxy's Edge. The first time I went, I almost didn't get it. But then the more you go, the more you understand that this is a continuation of the story. And it's such a love being there. I mean, you really are transported to the part when you leave Galaxy's Edge and go into the rest of the park. Again, it's like that VR goggle dropping down. You're like, I want to go back.
Right. Yes.
It really is. And it's such a wonderful achievement. And it's just, and you can't wait to go back. And when you're there, it just is so refreshing. And if you're a fan of Star Wars, like I am, that's where you just love to be. And I got a story for you, Mr. Daniel.
Here's a question from Susan. If you could work on any project in the world, what would it be? Is there
my own park.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
My own park. I've got an idea. I am ready.
Are you ready? Can you share that with us, Lon, or do we all have to sign NDAs?
Someone's going to steal it away from me. So, but when it's ready and I get my opportunity, I want you to fall in love with it. And the theme will be friendship, safety. My friend Noel McNeil, who is a Muppeteer for Henson and for himself, puppeteer, he one time described Sesame Street as it's a safe place to go. It's a safe place for kids to be. And I want to create a theme park that really is that. Islands of Adventure is fun and adventure. Disney is magic and dreams. I want to create a park that's friendly and safe, Dollywood type of friendly, safe feeling. You just feel wanted. I want the people who work there to literally learn Mark Daniels, and when you come back, they remember your name. You know, so that's the kind of environment that I want to create. Plus the fantasy world around all of that with characters. Characters are so important. You can't have just an empty stage. You got to put characters on that stage, or else it's not worth it. So we need more characters in the parks.
Here's a Skywalker Brian Long. What is your favorite Halloween Horror Nights house?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Through the years, I guess. That's a big question. Through the years, maybe.
So many of them. I love the Anniversary House so much. They created magic tricks in the Anniversary House. That was about 3 years ago. I'm thinking maybe 4. And that was the illusions that they had with mirrors and everything. I was like, wow, I was applauding through the whole thing. I'm that guy who walks through applauding. But one of my favorites was called Scary Tales that one of my big inspirations, Michael Roddy, had designed with, of course, Michael Aiello and all the amazing talent, Kim Grommel at Universal Studios. But what they did was in the queue line, they actually had this text message game where you could text a message and then it started telling you the story. And then you had to like decide your own story. Like, do you go in the house? Do you walk in the field? And then the story would continue. And you're doing this while you're waiting in the 3-hour line at Universal Studios. And by the time you get to the house, you already know all the characters, you know the backstory, you're really familiar with it. And then when you get into the house, all of this is familiar to you now, and you understand exactly what you're looking at. It's not just jump scare, but you're now invested in it. And I'm like, that was really cool. So Scary Tales all the way.
I did want to. I don't.
From London, American Werewolf in London too.
I don't remember what the name of the house was, but you went through the house, and they had these like movie reels where they would show you a commercial or a trailer for the movie. Yeah. And then you went through the house and you would see, you go through the house. It was really, I thought that was really
And I've got major props to Scott Swenson and all the work that him and Robbie did at Busch Gardens for Hollow Scream. The characters that they created for Hollow Scream were just so much fun. I loved it every year.
And shout out to the Aliens versus Predator house. I'm going to just say that real quick.
Predator.
I'm not going to talk about it. Here's a question from Mike Hinton. Have you ever been to Hershey Park or Dutch Wonderland?
I have, and that's actually that park is Hershey Park's very deep to me because that's where my parents took me when I was a kid. I'm from Rhode Island, and they would drive down to Hershey Park, and that's one of my first experiences at a theme park. Of course, Busch Gardens too, but loved Hershey Park. As a matter of fact, whenever I go through Hershey Park, it reminds me like a living version of Roller Coaster Tycoon. You know, just the way everything's set up, and yeah, it's fun. The Hershey Factory, that's an amusement park, and that is really it's fun, and there's nothing wrong with feeling fun.
Here's a question you might not know the answer. This is from Lori McDonald.
Hi, Lori.
How long did it take to make the puppets for AK? And if not that, maybe how long in the creative process was it for you?
It takes a while to do everything. I mean, nothing is an overnight deal, even though we have a lot of deadlines where a lot of things are always due tomorrow. But when you're working for any studio, a lot of times you'll be working on multiple projects at once. So it's not like you're just working on that thing. You'll be working on this project, that project, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it varies the amount of, and you've got a lot of creative approvals to go through on any projects, not just for Disney, but for Universal, Six Flags, you name it. And so I would say a project like that, gosh, it can go up into 300 hours sometimes when you're designing these things, sometimes even more. Because there's so much detail that has to go into it. So I'll just throw up a couple hundred hours, which is, you know, when you spread it out over a month, you know, that actually gets compacted in there.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I'm looking for some more questions, but I don't see any questions, more questions, right? Well, here's one. Let's see. Well, let's go to this because you talked about, you know, how long it takes to create, and I'm pretty impressed that you were able to work. We talked about Galaxy's Edge, but, you know, you got to work with two of the biggest companies in America, if not on the planet.
That's the cool thing about working for a studio that works with other studios when you're mixing with IPs, because if I'm working on a project for Pixar, let's say, I'm now learning and working with Pixar artists, and I'm learning how to draw like them. But when I'm working on a project for Lucasfilm and Star Wars, I'm now learning Star Wars stuff, and I'm learning how to render like Star Wars and paint, and learning how they paint. And I'm learning every day. And then you walk away as a better artist. But when the immense amount of details that go into like the rebel side of Star Wars, where everything's kind of burlappy and organic and earth tones and kind of rusty, or, you know, you've got tubes that just go nowhere, that kind of look. And then you've got much more militant look for, you know, the Empire or the New Order. So it's that playing and developing characters with that and learning again from these amazing artists. It's just everything. Gee, who's this guy?
I don't know. We'll get off of him pretty quick. And in closing, we talked about Gilderoy Lockhart, and I want to show you as Gilderoy Lockhart. There you are.
Lots of fun. He's a great character to play around with. But I love steampunk cosplay, Star Wars cosplay, you name it. I love dressing up in costume and playing make-believe. Be a big kid. Have fun. Enjoy your life.
Yes. Well, this is great. This is great, Lon. We're going to wrap up very shortly.
And getting inspired, again, in summary with this, being inspired and passing that inspiration on to other people. Sometimes just doing the littlest things for other people will make their day. And I remember one time I was actually kind of down in the dumps one time. And I went to, I'm married to Star Wars in my heart. I love Star Wars so much. Everything about it. I actually like Star Wars. And then I went to my first Star Wars celebration. What an overwhelming experience just to be in the Star Wars nerdery where everyone around you was loving Star Wars. And you felt small, but in a good way. Mm-hmm. You just felt like you were now part of a bigger thing, and the culture of Star Wars that you're now part of, and you understand it and how much everyone has loved it. And again, I was in a bit of a funk and just enjoying it. And then I went to one of the panels where huge million people are around, and on stage is Mark Daniels, hosting this thing, getting everyone excited. Mark Daniels all over the place in front of every show. And he sees me and he goes, "Hey, Lon Smart's in the house." I felt huge when you did that. And you probably don't even know that you did that, but it meant a lot, and I thank you because you're the kind of guy who does that. You are always thoughtful. You're always thinking about other people. You're always giving stuff out like that. And you're an amazing talent. Real quick, I want to know what people love you. You're the face of the podcasts. How did you get to where you are today? What inspires you to be where you are?
Well, Lon, I think it's kind of like we mentioned before, sometimes you don't know you inspire people or you make somebody feel good. And then you hear that story, like you said, how it made you feel. And it just makes you feel good because it's something you didn't really think about. You just saw it and you wanted to point out a friend, or you saw somebody and you wanted to, that was playing along. I think, like I mentioned earlier in the show, I'm inspired by, like you said, people working hard around you. And I'm also inspired when I do feel down in the dumps like you do, and you go to those theme parks and you get re-energized and you see entertainment, or you just see the things that you love and you appreciate that somebody was working on whatever it is you love, whether it's artwork, whether it's sculpture, whether it's music. You find that and you go, they were having a bad day and they probably found inspiration and they did it and they're inspiring me. And I think it's just this kinetic thing it's just all connected, and we just inspire each other. I just feel like in all the stuff I do, I just feel like in a positive way, I'm a cog in a machine, but some cogs shine, and if one cog doesn't move, the other one can't move. They might be shiny, but you still need that dull one to keep going. And that's how I just kind of look at my career. It's like, getting here is just so many people that have helped me and said yes and believed in me. And, just like you and many other people out there, nobody's where they are now without the people that believed in them.
Yeah, it is. It's all about teamwork, and it's about making friends. And you and I have been friends for 30 years, and it'll just keep going on at this point. And you're also passionate. You work hard. You don't become a success by playing video games. You enjoy it from time to time, but you work hard and you become a success. And that is something that you do. Steve Davidson, one of the best show directors in the theme park industry, says, don't be lazy. Always have an idea in your back pocket. And you are always working. I mean, now you got a podcast going. Congratulations, show number 1.
Well, we'll see how this goes. I screwed up in the beginning.
Because I need this. I need you to keep talking to people who inspire you and talk about things that inspire them, because I need inspiration. And there are other podcasts I love out there, like the Season Pass podcast. I don't know if I'm supposed to drop names for competition.
You can.
I mean, like Doug on Season Pass is just infinitely great. And just there's so many Attractions Magazine, Banks Lee, good grief. But it's that inspiration. Thanks for inspiring us. Thanks for wanting to inspire us. Thank you, Mark Daniels. nice.
Well, thank you very much, Lon. I really appreciate you being in the show. And you are and have worked on projects that have inspired. You are inspiration to people. I want to tell people to follow you as Single Rider 1 on Twitch. You said you were on there a couple times.
I love to draw. I love to draw. If you're ever bored and you just want some background sounds, you know, I'm on there doing whatever, drawing panda bears or roller coasters just for fun.
Definitely. So once again, Lon, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. And thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for sharing some of your projects. And I wish you the best. And I look forward to many more projects you're going to be working on. And most importantly, when you open your own theme park, please, can I host the grand opening?
Oh my God, done. It's done. I wouldn't want anybody else.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Lon. I really appreciate it. I'll put you in the green room and we'll talk in a little bit.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, everybody. Well, thank you very much for watching. Thank you to all the people that made their comments. I'm going to go back and read these comments later on. This show won't happen every Saturday night. I'm still trying to figure it out, and I don't know who my next guest is going to be. But again, I will let you know. And I will work out all the bugs and the kinks. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you found some inspiration. And once again, don't forget to find that inspiration in the world around you and in the people around you. So once again, thank you very much for watching the show. And I hope you have a wonderful night. And I'm going to figure this out. But this has been the Mark Daniels Show. I'm your host, Mark Daniel. And once again, thank you very much to Lon Smart. And we'll see you next time on the Mark Daniels Show.